Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Linda and today we are making raspberry squares. And these are absolutely delicious. They are similar to date squares, which everybody's grandmother seems to love, but raspberry squares are better because they are much more fun for those who are younger and really all ages, let's be honest. So first things first, a couple things you need to do before we get started. This recipe requires softened butter, 1 cup of softened butter. So you will need to either take that out of the fridge and wait for an hour or two, or you're going to need to take that out of the fridge, microwave it, maybe on power 3 or 4 for about a minute, see how it is. You don't really want it to turn into liquid. You really prefer it to be softened, but just do the best you can with that. If you forgot to take it out of the fridge or you didn't know and you're in a bit of a hurry, microwave will do if you're careful. Second thing, you need to preheat the oven for this recipe to 325 degrees. And third thing you need to do is make sure you wash your hands very carefully. 20 seconds, full lather, and your hands will be nice and clean because you're going to need them for this recipe. And so it's really important to be careful. Okay, for this recipe I need a large mixing bowl, a 9 by 13 pan, a 1 cup measuring cup, half a teaspoon, 1/8 of a teaspoon, and a wooden spoon for stirring. My ingredients for this recipe are white flour, which I keep in this container here, baking soda, salt, brown sugar, oatmeal, and butter. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First off, we're going to mix a cup of white flour, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. So let's put those in our mixing bowl. Since you're using clean hands, it's okay if you need to use your finger to just level off the flour. Oh, I got a half a tablespoon out by mistake, so just let me fix that. Short form for tablespoon is TBSP. The short form for teaspoon, which is what we want here, is TSP. I never pour my ingredients over the bowl when I am filling a measuring spoon or a measuring cup. And that's because if you overfill, it's really easy to just fix it and wipe off the counter. But if you overfill into the mixing bowl, then you get way more ingredients than you need, and that can really ruin a recipe. So that's one reason that I measure over top of the counter instead of over top of the bowl. Once you've got those dry ingredients, I just mix them together with a wooden spoon. This only takes half a minute or so. And we're ready to move on to our butter. Okay, now with the butter, I've got 1 cup here, and I'm going to just take some slices off. And put them in. It's going to require a knife. And I have this pastry cutter as well that helps me to cut up the butter. So once you've got your butter in, this is gonna take a little bit of work, but you take your pastry cutter and you're going to mix the butter in with your dry ingredients. Okay, so your butter does not have to be cut up really fine because you're going to be mixing it with oatmeal and brown sugar as well. So let's add those ingredients next. 1 cup of brown sugar. I keep a slice of bread in my brown sugar and it keeps my sugar nice and soft. Brown sugar should always be packed into the measuring cup. And 2 cups of oatmeal. Again, don't be afraid to use your clean hands. They come in really handy for this recipe. Once you've got all those ingredients together, it's time to use these hands. You're gonna get right in there, squeeze this. You're gonna squeeze and mix everything together with your hands until, I'll show you what it's supposed to look like, but you get right in there and you get mixing. Take you 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so I've finished mixing this, and what it looks like is all the ingredients mixed together. You want to make sure there's no big chunks of butter or big chunks of sugar in there. When it's pretty well mixed together with the butter, brown sugar, oatmeal, flour ingredients all mixed in, what you're going to do is you're going to dump about 2/3 of the oatmeal mixture into the bottom of your 9x13 pan. And you're going to use your hands and you're going to press that down. This is going to be your bottom layer. You need to pack this in really well. So make sure you pack around the corners, even it out if you need to. Don't be afraid to use your knuckles. Okay, great, now we're ready to put the jam in. I'm gonna open up my jam and put some spoonfuls of it all over the oatmeal mixture. You're going to use about 1 cup of jam, which is about the same as 1 small jar. I'm using raspberry jam. Just put scoops of jam all around, and then use your spoon to spread the jam into a layer. You want a nice, fairly thick layer of jam, fairly even all over the pan. Great, when that's done, we're down to our final step, which is take the rest of the topping and crumple it over top of the mixture until you have some everywhere. over the top. Once you've got it around fairly evenly, I just press it down a little bit with my hands. Don't worry if it doesn't cover everything because it will spread as it cooks. Now your oven should be ready. You're gonna pop this in and it's gonna cook for about 40 minutes. Okay, the timer just went and the raspberry squares have come out of the oven and they look delicious. So let me show them to you. You might even be able to still hear them cooking. They look absolutely wonderful and they're going to taste fantastic. As I did discover after, a 9x9 pan is more suited to this recipe than a 9x13, but you can see that this works just fine. These squares need to cool before you cut them or eat them because we don't want that jam to burn your mouth, and the oatmeal needs to settle. But once they're cool, cut them into squares and enjoy. Thanks for watching.